Hey everybody, it's Missy bringing you another layout for the Cut Shop, and I'm going to be using two of the new cut file sets, and one of them is the Autumn Acorns and the other one is the Tall Type, and I've used that on a previous layout, but it's so awesome I just had to use it again. And I'm going to scrap this photo here of some of my friends and me in Georgia at a lake, and I'm going to use this Autumn Acorns here that I have already cut out on some light craft cardstock, and I'm going to be using the Cedar Lane collection from Pink Paisley, and I want to jazz up this cut file a little bit, and so I'm going to use this set of iridescent metallic watercolors, and I've had these for a while. I got them at Michael's and they're pretty cheap, but they are so pretty. Oh my gosh, they dry so shimmery and sparkly. I'm very impressed with them. And so I just used some of the brown just to give the acorns sort of a, a weathered, dirty look, because they are outside and you usually find them in piles of leaves and grass, and they're not clean. So I'm using some of the watercolors and this brown gelato just to give them some smudges here and there and kind of make them look a little more, dare I say, realistic. Clearly they don't look realistic, but you know what I mean. I want to give them some life. So I do take a little bit of this teal, and that is Heidi Swap Color Shine, and I just do a little bit of sprinkles just to add a little bit of blue, because there is a lot of blue in this collection. And this here is one of my Shimmers colorings, and it's a brown color, and it looks really dark now, but when it dries it's a lot lighter. And so I just want to turn it over and use up all the product there that was on the background sheet so I could not waste any. So the background sheet is from the Cedar Lane collection, and it's a really pretty blue. And of course I can't leave it as is. I have to add some stuff to it. So I'm going to use some of this metallic watercolor again. And I'm just using some of the blues and the greens, and I'm trying to mimic the dark blue color that is in this collection, and I don't even think I've shown that yet, but there's a really dark blue color. It's not navy, but it's not royal, and it's really pretty. So I want a little bit of that to show through the acorns. I'm going to show you here how shiny this watercolor is. It's so pretty. For something so cheap, it's really pretty. So my idea was to do a little bit of backing, but I changed my mind right quick and decided let's wait and put some more watercolor on the background first, because you can't have enough. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 6x6 paper pad, and I'm just going to wind up backing some of the open spots in the acorn cut file. I'm taking some of the brown and sprinkling that around again. And a lot of this is going to be covered up, but you are going to be able to see some of it through the open spots of the acorns. See how shimmery? Very pretty. And the reason I chose this collection to scrap this picture is because I think the colors in the picture are, it was in November, so the picture, has fall colors in it, but there's a little bit of blue in the color, in the picture, and it was a cold day, and, this color blue just kind of reminds me of cold, and, well, for me, it was cold. I'm from Florida, and this was in Georgia, and I know Georgia's not that far from Florida, but, it was cold. For me, it was cold, hence me in the front there wearing the blue jacket. But, the leaves were changing color, and it was just so pretty. We had hiked up this mountain and spent several hours just walking around and taking pictures of the trees and the leaves, and it was so pretty. And then at the bottom of this big mountain was this really pretty lake, and so it was just a fun day hanging out with friends. And one of my friends had moved to Georgia a couple years ago from Florida, and so we had a long weekend where several of us drove up to see her, and it was really fun. So anyway, I've got the little acorns cut out there that I'm going to use to back, and I'm going to back some of these with the little stripes and some of the open spot ones. And they didn't, I traced the parts that were cut out, and I just fussy cut them out, and none of them are perfect, but it's close enough, and I was happy with how it turned out. Now this cut file did take a while to cut because it is so detailed and so big. And to be honest, my blade is needing to be replaced very soon, and so is my cutting mat. And so I made sure that the cardstock was stuck down, and I turned my blade up to a 5. That's really high for what I usually cut it with, because I usually only use cardstock or pattern paper. But it cut just fine. There were a couple of little spots that tore, but I think it was because my mat is getting old and the sticky is wearing off. But it worked out for me okay. So now I'm just going to go through some of the papers and do a little bit of backing for my photo. And I'm going to use some of, oh, that's the dark blue color that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to use some of the blue, some of the pink, and a couple other things to matte the picture. And this is just a really pretty light gray wood grain paper. That would also make a really pretty background, I think. And I'm going to wind up doing a little bit of overlapping on the left side of the photo simply because there's a lot of open space, but that's later. I really like this cut apart piece here because of the print on it. It's got some, it looks like a book or, a newspaper, and I like that. So I just want to snip a piece of that off and use that at the top as part of the layer. And then I fussy cut out some of these flowers from another one of the pattern papers. And in the ephemera pack, there are several acetate pieces, like those pink leaves. I love those. I do wind up exchanging those for yellow leaves. I just felt like I had a lot of pink going on. So I'm just going to work on my layer here for this little cluster that I'm going to use. And I do like the way it overlaps the photo. It takes away some of the space that's wide open in the picture, but it's not enough to cover up the scenery because, part of the photo is the scenery in the background, and I didn't want to cover all of it up. But it just seems so open because, it's just a lake and shore and everything. I did some gold stitching there. I did some straight and some zigzag. And then I cut the word lake with the tall type, and I cut it in that light gray wood grain, and it was just too light. It just sort of faded away. I couldn't really make out the letters, and so I had an idea. I grabbed my white acrylic paint, and I just get messy here and smudge some white paint to make them a little bit brighter. And I'm going to wind up adding something to the bottom of the letters and backing the open spots. And the title is going to be Lake Hike, just because I couldn't think of anything else any more creative than that. And so, because that's what we did. We hiked to the lake. So it's going to be Lake Hike. Now I pulled out some of my gold glitter washi tape from my stash, and I'm mainly using it to back the open spots. And so I'm not really using it as tape. I'm kind of using it just as gold glitter paper. I didn't even peel the backing off because I'm wanting it to stick to the back. So I'm just cutting it and gluing it down. And I love how it turned out. It's just the right amount of sparkle for the top of those letters. And then I had an idea, and I really like how it turned out. I grabbed that dark brown gelato again, and I'm just going to smudge up the bottom half of these letters. And so it's going to look like they were dipped in mud. And I thought, it was a cold, muddy day down there at the lake, and so let's make the letters look kind of muddy. And it turned out really cool. The only thing is, since I had put the white acrylic paint on first, the gelato, I had to put a lot of gelato on there for it to stick because it was wanting to wipe off really easily because of the paint. But I just kept going and kept smudging, and it worked out okay in the end. And I like how the letters look like their little feet got dirty. So I do add some thread. I add some blue thread to the left, right above that flower, and then over here to the right. And it's that dark blue color. I think I could use these tall type letters on everything. They're my favorite alpha cut file, I think. So these are the gold, that's not gold, hello, that's blue, glitter thickers that came with this collection. So that's what I'm going to use to make the word hike. And then I'm just going to readjust lake up at the top there. I have gold on the brain. Everything is just gold, 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 gold. And that's cool because it's just so pretty. I love the gold stitching. I love the gold thread. It always just adds just the right amount of sparkle to the background. So I add a little bit of the washi strips to the right. Now, something about this washi tape is it does not tear very well. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I love to tear washi tape, but this isn't, it almost feels kind of like a fabric, but it's not. It doesn't tear very easily though, so I had to really work with it to get it to look kind of jagged. And these little transparent stickers are really, really pretty. I do add a couple of those on, and then I add some more of the brown and then some bronzer, which is a Heidi swap. It looks brown, but it dries really bold gold. So now I want to make the word lake stand out a little more, and so I go back to those iridescent watercolors, and I just use the little brush that comes with it, and I'm going to add in some blue behind the word lake, and I think it makes it pop a little bit more, and it looks like water. So I really like how that turned out. And then I'm going to go around in a couple other spots and just add some more of that blue. You've got to, if you like watercolors and you have the regular set, you will love this metallic set. I'm telling you what, it's really, really pretty. So I went through my stash and pulled out a couple of my flare buttons from A Flare for Buttons. And I've got this camera here that's got some craft color in it. It was the perfect match. And then this one over here that's also craft with a black arrow that says here. Perfect. And then I did pull a couple of wood veneers from Studio Calico from my stash. Go See Do. And then I also have a little round geo tag. And I'm just going to take this dark brown gelato to give them some dark color so they'll stand out a little bit more. And I did replace those leaves on the picture. I think I did that off camera, but I did have the pink ones there, but I replaced them with the yellow ones, and I think I like that a lot better because I just think I had too much pink going on. Don't get me wrong, I love pink, but for this layout, I think I had plenty of pink. And something I do off camera after I shut the camera off is, as I looked at it, I realized that I needed some more yellow down at the bottom, on the bottom row of acorns. So I do go and add another yellow. I fill in that open acorn that's third from the right. I go back and add a yellow acorn to fill that in, just because for whatever reason, I was like, wait a minute, there's no yellow at the bottom, and it was driving me crazy. So I think you'll see that in the final photo, but I did add that in. And I just add a little bit of journaling at the bottom with my date stamp, and there you go. See, you can see where I added the other yellow one. But I love how this turned out. I love the collection. It's really, really pretty. The acorns are really fun. I hope you check out the Cut Shop, the Etsy store, and check out all the new cut files. Every other week there's new sets coming out. And I hope you guys will check out the blog. Lots of inspiration there. And that's it for this layout. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.